What is up, everybody? This is episode 3 of the Shooters Club. I'm Ross.
And I'm David.
And welcome. Thank you guys for being here. Again, episode number 3. 1 and 2 are fantastic. You can check those out on the Brotographer on my YouTube channel. And also on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify as well. iHeartRadio was the new one last week that we were on. Also on Buzzsprout, but most of you out there are going to be, rocking an iPhone or Android. So Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Apple Podcasts. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and give us hopefully a 5-star rating.
Yeah.
And leave a little review if possible. That really helps us out and helps us push the podcast, the Shooters Club, out there to more people. So yeah, man.
Sounds good.
How are you doing? How was this week for you? What'd you shoot? Did you get any new gear? Give us an update on your life.
All right. I shot in Yosemite, dude.
Sweet.
I had a elopement in Yosemite. We got up at 2:30 in the morning.
Man, beat that light. So for anybody who doesn't know, we're in the Central Valley here in California. We're in Modesto. And Modesto, while not the most beautiful place in the world, it's like a really good jump-off point. The Central Valley cities around here.
I always think about that and how it's like if you want to go to Yosemite, it's about 2 hours away.
Yep.
If you want to go to the Bay Area, now with traffic, it's about 2.5 hours away.
It's terrible.
I hate the traffic.
I know.
And I went there on Sunday.
I know.
But there's everything you want is like around an hour to 2 hours away.
Yep. You got the Central Coast, Monterey, Carmel. I mean, even if you want to go down to LA, it's 4 or 5 hours. It's not terrible.
Okay, if you're speeding, it's 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so we go to Yosemite for the elopement, get up at 2:30. We're there in the dark. So if you guys don't know, I'm a wedding filmmaker. So we were shooting an elopement. It's our first elopement in Yosemite. You have to get a permit to where you're going to film. The couple gets the permit for where they're going to have their elopement. Yeah. I didn't know that either.
Oh, an elopement, not just like a photo shoot or a video shoot.
You get your permit for where you're going to get married at.
Okay.
Taft Point.
That makes sense.
Yeah, wherever you're going.
On top of Half Dome?
Yeah.
Can you do that?
I don't know if that's an option. I mean, you can if you go and stand there and just get married. But if the park ranger comes up to you, they will ask for
a permit.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you want to have that. So we show up at 2:30. Well, we get there around, I think, 5. Around 5-ish.
How are you on those roads?
I drive super slow. I get scared.
I'm
for some reason when I see the darkness out there and I know it's a windy road.
They're windy.
I get scared. And then I had to follow this photographer. His name's Will. Shout out to Will.
You guys who drive super fast.
Yeah, because he goes up there all the time. He got married there as well.
Right.
And we were following him, and he was just speeding through all the curves at night. And I was like, no, I'm going slow. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
So we get there in the pitch black, and I was so worried about light because the GH5 is not great with the high ISO. And then
what time were they going to get eloped?
6:30. 6:30 in the morning, about sunrise. So it was still dark when we were there setting up.
Do you still call it getting married even though they're quote unquote eloping?
Yeah.
It's still a marriage.
Yeah.
Why is it an elopement?
Fill
me in, bro. You're the wedding guy.
I don't know. It's our first elopement. They call it an elopement. I think is like you just go somewhere.
A less formal wedding. Yeah. Essentially.
It's kind of like there can only be like you can if you have 2 people there like you basically just need the witnesses there and it's like an elopement. I don't know. They had about 25 guests.
Okay.
So. I don't know actually why they call it an elopement, but I think it's when you just go somewhere and just do it like a shotgun wedding. I don't know. But anyways, I was worried about light. We're in this cathedral beach and there's all these rocks all around us overlooking us.
Right.
And all of a sudden I'm worried about light. I'm looking through the cameras and I'm so worried. I'm like, okay, like what am I going to do? We might not get the shot. Boom. Next thing you know, the sun just rises up a little bit and it just lights up like that.
Like right over the mountain.
Yeah. It completely lights up and we had plenty of light and it was a beautiful elopement. Everything went right. It started raining halfway through.
Oh, how'd your cameras do with that?
You know what? For a second I thought, you know what? I'm going to take them down. But, for just a split second, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen to them. And I looked at Letty and I just said, just keep rolling. Let's see what happens. They're weatherproof.
Yeah.
The lenses, I don't think the Voigtlander lenses are. And wait, I had two Sigmas. No, I had Sigmas and the Lumix. Lumix 35 to 100.
Okay.
On each camera, and then the Sigma on mine, and we just kept rolling, and they held up. We got the shots, and everything worked out. So it was like it got that special like craziness of Yosemite. You can't plan for that, and we kept rolling, got the shots, and then we went to go shoot after that, and it went really well.
Nice. How long did you shoot until in the morning?
About noon.
Okay.
That's when all the tourists showed up, and
the light gets bad and
super harsh. We had to wait for clouds, so we were just kind of sitting around waiting for a cloud to come. Okay, go. Set up. Yeah. So we were out in the little valley, like waiting for like a cloud to cover up the sun, and then just be like, okay, run into the field, and then we'll shoot. Yeah.
Is it like the main valley you're talking about?
There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them. There's some that you can't, so you have to kind of know the rules, and Will, the photographer, is really like, he knows.
There's some you can go in and some you can't.
Some that you can walk in, some that you can't. So he's the one that kind of said, hey, we should go over here. This is where they can kind of run through. And we went that, we kind of followed his guidance, So it's always good to shoot with the photographer that kind of knows his stuff. It makes it easier,
Yeah.
It's not all on me. I can kind of just bounce ideas off him and kind of, rely a little bit on him. It was our first time there. But it was great. Once the tourists showed up, we weren't able to shoot at the tunnel view, which is like the epic. It's like the main Yosemite shot, because they were short on time and they had to go back. So unfortunately, we didn't get that shot. But we still got great footage. So you do what you can. It's a wedding.
Yeah.
Like you never know how it's gonna happen. Like how the day's gonna go. You do what you can. Like I said,
Nice.
So I think we did a good job. I'm excited to see the footage.
Awesome, man. Oh, you haven't reviewed it yet?
I looked at some of the footage. I'm excited to put it out, a teaser, which will be out at Capture Color Weddings on Instagram in a couple days. It should be up.
Nice.
So look out for that, guys.
Nice, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yosemite. It's beautiful. If you've never been, definitely make sure to go. It's like it's a bucket list place. You need to go to Yosemite. I need to go there more. I live here and I never go.
We're lucky to be here, like so close to it. And I did shoot some time lapses on there with the GH5. So
does it have a built-in intervalometer?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Made it super easy.
Yeah.
I've never used it before. It was just actually stuck on the settings on the GH5. I tried to take a photo and I couldn't because it was already on the time lapse setting.
Oh, so you just went with it?
So then I just started shooting time lapses because I haven't shot one photo with the GH5s.
Really?
I just shoot video.
Yeah.
So I went to the photo mode and it was stuck on time lapse. So then I said, all right, let's do some time lapse.
Nice. I'm sure it looks pretty good with all the clouds.
Oh, it looked really good. Yeah.
Okay. How long did you shoot with the time lapses?
Only a couple minutes. I got about 5 seconds of footage.
Like a quick little,
which it's like 120 photos. So it was like in between shots.
Like
I would just
quick
set up
transition.
Yep. I would set up the camera, get that time lapse, and then kind of move on.
Yep.
So
nice, man. That's awesome. I was not able to shoot really anything last week. Last week was crazy. Last week was crazy.
Yeah. What happened?
Well, just at the gym, stuff going on, busy. Some weeks are crazier than others.
Yeah.
And with boot camp going on, my wife is pulled over there, so my responsibilities are much more labor intensive at the gym.
Is that because boot camp's somewhere else? Or?
No, it's still here, but she's pulled away.
Okay.
To deal with she's a coach in the boot camp, so she's dealing with all that and trying to make sure all the meal plans and everything are going out. So I had a lot of stuff I had to deal with last week. So on the photography and video front, not a lot of new stuff there for me. I did pick up the Sigma 16 millimeter 1.4 lens for the A6400.
You've been talking about it.
Yeah, I just did it, and I like it. It's small, it's compact. I thought it was actually going to be bigger.
Yeah.
So I'd like to work in some first person like vlog style stuff to some of my reviews, and
there's always something you tell yourself when you purchase new gear. I asked you right away. I said
justification.
Yeah, what did you use to justify it?
I needed it.
Yeah.
No, I have too many lenses. I'm thinking about just getting rid of everything that I don't need, and then a project comes up, and I need it.
Yeah,
and so I don't know, man. I'm in that limbo zone of like becoming a gear minimalist because I obviously have way too much. But then it's so nice to have like, these lights here and the LEDs in the background
it
and
is nice.
the podcast gear and all this stuff. So I don't know.
Keep getting gear because then I always borrow it.
I know, man. Gear's fun. let me see if this little thing is charged.
We're actually shooting with that lens you're talking about.
Oh yeah, if you're watching this on the Brotographer's YouTube channel, this middle angle right here is the 16 mil. So it's a 24 mil equivalent, and we're at like f4 or something right now. Let's see if
What's that?
This
that
is
looks like a vape.
It's a vape, man. No way, I would not vape this stuff. Although I wonder if this company kind of took the vaping innards and modified it. I'm not sure. It looks like it's 3D printed, but this is it's called a Microfogger 2. It's from a company called Workshop Science, based out of Great Britain. I first saw this on Matty Hapoya's channel, and he like couldn't get it to work.
Yeah.
But then I kind of searched for it on the internet, eventually found it, and what it is it's a mini fog machine. This is just a charger because I had accidentally turned it on in my bag, but it's like a mini fog machine, and it works really well.
Yeah,
it doesn't hold a ton of liquid in there in this little reservoir, but man, it's
how much fog can? Let's see it.
Let's see. If you hear that on the podcast right now, go watch the video of it. But man,
Is this safe to breathe or what?
I think so. But it creates some nice little haze in the room.
Let me see, throw a little more out there.
Let's see.
Let's fill up the. Oh,
the battery is not.
Oh, okay.
Sufficiently charged. It was completely dead. Okay. So we had enough for
next time.
That.
Next time.
Yeah.
A little taste of what it can do.
A little taste. Turn this off real quick. Okay.
And we'll do it at the end. We'll fog out the outro.
Yeah, we'll see if it works. but yeah, it's really cool. It's a portable fog machine. I was using the Atmosphere aerosol for a project in the gym for some marketing video, and it wasn't thick enough, and so I didn't want to pay a ton for like a giant fog machine, which would be nice, but I just want a little handheld thing for certain shots. So I picked it up. I think it's like $170, so it's kind of expensive, but I've used really it. Pricey. But for
how much?
Pictures and stuff.
Did it look good?
It looks legit, man.
Really?
It looks legit. I took some pictures of me, just fun stuff with Jose Rosas at JJ Rosas Photos, I think is his Instagram. I'll put it up on the screen. And we went downtown and took someone like my helmet.
Yeah. Oh,
and like,
okay. He did some of those shots.
Smoked out the background.
Those are sick. Yeah.
Those are cool, man. So it just adds that little like ambiance to your photos that I really like.
Did you have to keep refilling it, like over and over?
No, we were able to do the whole shoot on like one little reservoir.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you can only hold it down for 10 seconds at a time, and then it'll shut itself off, and needs like 10 seconds to recharge. But it's nice. It's cool. It's a cool little tool to have in your bag. Just something. It adds like depth, especially if you're like backlit.
Yeah.
And you throw some of that stuff behind your model or whatever.
I've been wanting to use like the spray, the haze.
Yeah.
For like certain like weddings, like
and it'll just create a little atmosphere, and I felt like I wanted a little bit more, so that's why I got this. So it works pretty well. It's a little expensive, but
it's a little too pricey for me.
But it's cool. I mean, obviously I didn't need it, but it's fun. And for someone who creates social media content, it works. And I've got these two big spotlights in the gym that I backlight everybody with in most of the cross training style videos. And just having that atmosphere back there just makes it look a little bit better. And I think production value matters.
Dope. Yeah.
So that's basically all I did last week. Working on some reviews and things like that as well. But it's time to get shooting. The fall is here. I want to take some trips. Just get out of Modesto, like we talked about earlier.
Sure.
We're in this little central spot, and I just want to get out there and do some stuff.
It's always nice to get out and get creative.
I know, man. I know. I'm itching.
Got Tahoe coming up next weekend.
Oh, nice.
For that.
I want to take the bike I have, the Aerial Rider D class, out somewhere other than Modesto, but I got to put a hitch on my car and make sure that the current bike carrier I have can actually carry it, because it's like 75 pounds. So I really want to get it out and like take it somewhere.
Yeah.
So we'll see if I can do that. Oh, that's more new gear I did get. I bought one of Rurock's helmets.
Yeah.
I bought the camo version. So by the time you're watching this, I'll probably have it. So I'll overlay a picture of it or something like that. But
The helmet looks tight.
I'm stoked, man. They're cool. It's like I have 2 of them now, so it's like a little lifestyle.
I almost want a bike just so I can have the helmet.
Dude, they're so sweet. Shout out to Sam Sheffer who turned me onto it. Apparently, there's like a group of people in every city who buy those helmets and ride around on their skateboards and bikes. It's like a little subculture almost.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't even know it.
Helmet.
But they're pretty cool, man. I got
tight.
the camo. It's pretty sweet.
I want a graffiti helmet, like with graffiti all over it.
You should, man. You should get the matte black one and
graph on it.
have your boy do some stuff to it.
Yeah, that'll be tight.
That would be pretty sweet. I don't know if you could. It might be too small of a surface.
No, you can do it.
You could?
Well, they would probably do hand painted graffiti.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
that makes sense. That'd be pretty
I mean,
sweet,
you
man.
can also use small tips, but
you should do it.
no,
You should do it.
Huh?
Yeah.
I'll get a bike first.
Yeah. Get the D-Class, dude. It's sweet.
I want the electric longboard. I think it's sick too.
Which one?
The one that
The boosted,
the
boosted
one?
one?
You had, yeah.
Oh no, I had the one from Unique, and it goes about 13 miles an hour. The one
Yeah.
from Boosted goes, I think it's like 22.
It's too fast, for me.
Dude. Once you get comfortable on it, though, 12 miles an hour isn't enough.
Really?
Yeah. It's not enough.
That's dangerous.
You should
On a board?
On a board, dude. But the wheels, like, if you're hitting pebbles, like on a typical skateboard that you like kickflip or whatever,
Yeah.
it's sketchy. You hit
Yeah.
like a pebble and you go
No,
flying.
I used to skate. I used to eat it all the time.
There you go.
I'd be in the back. I'd be the one in the back trying to keep up with my brother and his
Right.
friends, and then just eat it.
But on longboards, that's not really an issue.
yeah.
The wheels are bigger. They're kind of softer, so they roll over stuff like
Still
that.
scared.
I know. I've knock on wood, never fallen.
Yeah.
I've almost fallen, but that's why I got the helmet.
That's dope.
I'll just let my arms get scuffed up and my face will be
Maybe
fine.
I'll just get the helmet. It'd be cool.
Just get the helmet, man. But let's move on to news. This last week was kind of a slow week in news.
Yeah, a little slow, right?
Yeah, we got a couple news stories here. The first one I have, I love lenses, obviously, but a company called Geekster is going to release for Sony's crop. So like the 6400, the 6600, the A6000, all those cameras, they're going to release a 35 millimeter f1.1, and it looks like it's manual focus. I'm 99% positive it's manual focus. Got a 43 millimeter front filter ring, so this is like a tiny lens, but it kind of looks like an old Leica lens. I'm sure it's going to be better for photography, and I'm sure it's just kind of one of those lenses that will be fun to use. I think that's equivalent to like a, what is that?
Does it double?
What do you mean?
The 35 millimeter? Does it double the crop? Is it like a
Yeah, so it's essentially
almost like
gonna
a 70?
No, it's essentially gonna be, it's 1.5 on the Sony bodies.
Okay.
So the crop factor is 1.5. So it'll be like a 52 mil, I think, f 1 point whatever that is, 1.6 or something like that. So a normal focal length with relatively shallow depth of field.
It almost looks like an old Voigtlander I used to have.
Yeah, exactly. Like the old manual focus
I
lenses.
had a little small Voigtlander. It looked just like that, actually. But the Voigtlander had a little handle on it.
Okay.
That was kind of like...
Yeah, you
kinda
could
nice.
focus with.
Yeah.
Jose reviewed for me I forget what it was. It was like a 50 mil f1 or 1.2 or something like that.
Yeah.
And with some of these new manufacturers who make these crazy wide aperture lenses, they're pretty soft, wide open.
I'm interested. Have you ever used the Geekster?
Nope. I didn't even know they were a company, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
I have no clue. But I did some research yesterday.
Has a
on
cool
their
hood on it.
Yeah, on their
I like the hood.
Yep. I did some research on their Facebook page, and I'll reach out to them and see if I can get my hands on one and see if see if it's any good. Sometimes it's just you need little things to bring back the joy of shooting. Our next little piece of news, if you will, is Canon says they're releasing an upgrade to the autofocus in the EOS R. And I remember when that camera came out, that was one of the main issues. Obviously, Sony has by far the best autofocus of mirrorless cameras, and their eye autofocus is really what what stuck out to me.
Yeah.
It's just, it changes the game. Obviously, you shot with it. You didn't really get it in video.
I didn't.
Now you would get it in video
Really?
if you're still with Sony on their new bodies, but their eye autofocus is crazy. So they say they're essentially just getting better eye autofocus tracking for moving subjects, as well as like the initial point where it recognizes that, oh, it's a face and it's an eyeball, so it acquires it even faster.
Well, Sony has even that animal.
Yeah,
the A9. I think the A9 just got that, right?
It did. Version 6 of their firmware. Sony's is still, in my opinion, on a whole nother level. Everyone always, when they're talking video, compares whatever autofocus they're using to Canon's dual pixel autofocus. And in my opinion, for mirrorless autofocus, Sony is like that version. You have to compare it to Sony. They are by far above and beyond better than anything out there. And I only have, I have an A7 III, an A7 R3, and A6400. The new cameras, newer, like the A9, got that new firmware, the A6600, the A7 R4. The autofocus is, it's even better.
That's the one thing I'm jealous of is now that I went to the GH5, is that, what do they use? Contrast? Is it contrast?
So yeah,
autofocus?
Sony uses phase detect in conjunction, I believe, with contrast, and Panasonic only uses contrast detect. So I've heard, and I'm not like an expert on this at all, but I've heard that phase detect is obviously faster.
Yeah.
Contrast is more accurate, but doesn't do as well with subject tracking. So Sony does amazing phase detect.
Yeah.
Like their continuous autofocus
That's one thing,
is amazing.
That's what I liked about it.
It's for photos and video, it's amazing. But they're like single point when you're not doing continuous tracking is kind of bush league, and I really don't like it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if I'm just gonna do like a single point in focus and then take my picture, I really don't like it. I do everything in continuous because it's that good.
Really? It's better than just the single point then?
Oh yeah, I never use single point autofocus.
Never. Tip, huh?
Never when using a Sony camera. And I also use back button autofocus thanks to Tony Northrup.
I like
way
that.
back in the day.
When you told me about that, I was like, I started using it.
It just gives you so much more control over stuff.
That's what I was like. When I started using that, I was like, oh, okay, now I like taking photos.
Exactly. It's way better.
Yeah.
But yeah, Panasonic, and even for their new cameras, they did it in a contrast only.
Yeah, the S1H still is using that.
And I don't know why. They've got to have some reasoning for doing that. Maybe they're not comfortable enough with the phase detect that they could put in there, and so they
R&D, they haven't.
Yeah, maybe they're like, well, this is going to be more for filmmakers. But even for their photography cameras, I don't believe there's phase detect. Like the S1R, and the other S1, I don't think there's phase detect in there. So I don't know. I don't know why they don't. But yeah, Sony is just, they're on a whole nother level. So maybe this EOS R update will get them closer, but there's no way it's going to be on par.
You always find a way to take it back to Sony, right?
Always.
You always find.
I mean, I talk about what I know, right? This is what I was kind of thinking about you this week with Blackmagic, because you might invest in the S1H, which is that full frame, but you already have some micro four thirds stuff with the GH5. Have you thought about getting like here's the mouthful name, Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K? Have you thought about it?
Yeah, I thought about it. But
how much are they?
I think they're like 1,000, 1,500
Dude,
or something.
And a GH5 is what?
About the same, 1,500.
And you
1,000 on Craig's.
You get 4K 60, you get RAW, which the GH5 already has 4K 60.
I like that. It's interesting. You know, I just never really like looked at the whole system and like, because it's always been like more of a filmmaking centric camera. You know, like
that's what you do though, right?
It is, but I'm kind of run and gun. You know,
so faster, lighter.
So the whole reason I switched to the GH5 was they were cheaper than the Sony lenses and everything. But a big thing was the IBIS. The IBIS was huge, and that's with the Blackmagic. It's like I'm just gonna switch over, get the RAW, which I'm liking more and more. The more I see, like the more I read about it and see, I like. But honestly, what keeps me with the GH5 right now is the IBIS, like just that freedom to shoot. But the Blackmagic is super interesting. I just feel like I haven't really looked at it like at the accessories that I would need to have a rig
Yeah.
and be so comfortable with it. Okay.
Well, and you do a lot of long form stuff with your weddings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this would not be the camera for that. If you're
Yeah.
shooting ProRes
Yeah.
or RAW,
Yeah.
and for like the actual wedding ceremony, I mean, you'd have like a terabyte of footage.
Yeah, it's not practical for
Right.
my application of running gun.
I guess when you can control your environment, then it would be good. Like I've thought about picking up that the
It's so-
6K version.
It's so cheap that
I
you almost
know.
want to buy it just to play with it and just see
exactly
what you can do.
in like a Sigma 18 to 35.
Have that.
And just pick up this camera and you know.
Is it? It's an EF mount. The 6K?
Exactly.
Is it the 6K,
It's-
right?
it's-
EF mount.
Yep, and I definitely would have picked one up if I still had all my Canon glass. But
How much is the 6K? I might now. I'm thinking like, how can I justify this?
I think it's like $2,500.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was cheaper.
No, I think it's about $2,500.
Okay, it's like an A7 III.
But with regard to the 4K,
It offers a lot more.
it offers a
Okay.
lot, and they just got a new firmware upgrade too. So apparently,
So give us the lowdown on the.
this I don't fully understand, but I would like to learn more on.
Me too.
So I'm not a moron. It has the ability to shoot in 2.8K anamorphic now, and I've only ever messed around with anamorphic for like a couple minutes at a time. But I guess what anamorphic does is, so typically when you're trying to be, you know, have your fake black bars at the top and bottom of your footage, and you want to get that like 17:9 aspect
Yeah.
rate, or 2.35:1 or whatever, super wide angle
Yeah.
look with the black bars. You just crop the bottom and top of your footage. But I guess what anamorphic does is it allows you to get the full height of your sensor, and it will crop out some of the left and right, I believe, and then it will squeeze it out to be in that same widescreen format. So you don't actually have black bars, you just have
shooting
real widescreen with the full height. And that's the way I understand it, and I could be wrong, and if you're listening to this probably thinking I'm an idiot.
Let us know. Let us know.
Yeah.
Message us, comment. Let us know what.
But everyone, and I'm not a real filmmaker. Everyone seems to love anamorphic, and all the videos or movies are shot
I'm
in
gonna try it out.
anamorphic, and the lenses are crazy big and expensive. So the quality is obviously there.
Yeah, I do want to play with it. I just know it's really hard to focus sometimes when you're using those, and like when you're using an anamorphic with an adapter. Like I don't know. I've just seen a couple videos where it's like for run and gun what I shoot, but
Sure.
maybe like I can just rent one just to play with it.
Yeah.
like that'd be fun. Like I definitely interested in that wide look with that shallow depth of field, not just the crop. I want to see
Right.
what it really is about and get that movie like look to it.
Oh, totally.
Do weddings like that? It's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Just a $6,000 lens on this. No big deal.
I mean, that's probably a cheap
Yeah.
anamorphic. I think the lens I was holding at NAB was like, I don't know, it's like a $20,000 lens or something like that.
Is it? Like a Cook or something?
I forget. Yeah, something crazy.
Yeah, boy.
Okay, so apparently there's some leaks and a teaser for a new GoPro
Incoming.
Honestly, what can GoPro do?
Hot
at this
off the
point?
press.
Yeah, what are they gonna do? You think? I've never personally owned a GoPro.
So I have the GoPro Hero Black 7, something like that. It's a
Okay.
weird name. So it's already stabilized. Like you don't need any type of stabilization for
So
it.
it's their highest end GoPro.
Yeah.
That's the black.
Yeah, I
believe.
took it to Hawaii. It was
Okay.
great. It was amazing. 4K 60. It does the hyperlapse video. I think they call it hyper.
Sure.
It has a weird name to it.
Right.
But the rumor is, just hot off the press, 4K 120.
That'd be pretty sweet. I'd be curious to see what bit rate they're coming out at. I'd be more interested in like the 1-inch sensor that the RX1 has.
Yeah.
I think it's the RX1. I'd be way more interested in 4K 60 with a 1-inch sensor, better in low light. Because those GoPros and any action camera, it's like your cell phone camera.
Yeah, they suck.
They
in
just
low
are
light.
terrible in low light. They start to get grainy indoors. So I'd personally be more interested in that.
Yeah, me too. I'm not. And the 4K 120 doesn't even do it for me. Like it's like
Right.
it's cool.
Yeah, you
but-
put that in the A7S III or another camera like that, and
Yeah.
I'm really interested.
Well, you can replace that with the GoPro Hero 8.
Yeah, I know, right? I know it's the same. It's the same.
But there's also some second screens or something. They're adding like 5 screens to it.
I saw that with the Osmo Action. I'm sure they'll add a front screen, maybe a little baby one.
That's what the rumor is.
I saw like they had an optional screen, almost like think of a medium format camera like the Fuji's, where they have the optional EVF you can put on. You can like slot it on so it's front facing.
It looks like a little transformer. Has a bunch of little extra pieces.
Exactly. But then your GoPro is becoming a mini camera, and then why don't you just at that point, instead of buying like $100 accessory here, $100 accessory there, just buy like a small camera or an RX100, something like that.
And this, by the way, the news will come out tomorrow, so this will be old.
There we go.
So disregard what we're talking about. But yeah, I don't know what else they can do. I think is it gimmicky? Is it
I don't know.
gimmicky?
I feel like GoPro as a company for a very long time has been declining. And at one point, a couple of years ago, their stock value was 5%.
Yeah, I remember that.
Of what
they
it
were
was
like,
at the height of, of their business.
They weren't selling and
no. And then you have all these competitors now. You know, it's capitalism at its finest. You have competition, which lowers the price. GoPro had to lower their prices. They were gouging people for years on these cameras, and everybody else learned that we have the components now that are OEM or whatever the term is that anyone can get their hands on, and we can assemble these things too. All these Chinese manufacturers. I recently was just sent like another one, but they're pretty good, man.
Yeah.
They have 4K 60. It's the same sensor size.
Yeah.
I don't know other than the stabilization.
That's where I jump back in. So I had the GoPro Hero 3 silver something.
No stabilization.
No stabilization. It's like it sucked. Like it was cool, but like I always got it.
And that's when they were making the height of their money.
Yeah, I bought it thinking I was gonna use it for all this stuff, and I never end up I never end up doing everything. Yeah. So, but this new one with the stabilization, like it's super cool. Like I think they really stepped up and like kind of showed what they can do. They're still innovating. Like
is it optical or is it digital?
I don't know. It works. That's all I know.
Right.
I don't know the details of it, but I don't think it's. I mean, maybe it is digital. Maybe a mix between both, but it works like really well. You can handhold it, and it looks like you're on a gimbal.
That is pretty cool.
So I think they really like flexed that they've been working on something. Like it really showed me that they're doing new stuff. So I purchased it. Like when I saw that, I was like, oh, I'm going to buy. You know, it's always like a trip where you're going to buy one. Like there's always a trip coming up and you're like, that's when I should buy one to take it and I'll do all this vlogging with it.
So, I mean, I would hope that they would put in a bigger battery, have a bigger sensor. The RX1 shows that you can have a small form factor and still have a bigger sensor, right?
I haven't used the RX one. Have you used it yet?
No, but it's got the same sensor as your drone has.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
You know, your 1-inch sensor in your DJI drone. I believe it's the same sensor. That's word on the internet.
Yeah.
For what it's worth. But yeah, the hyper smooth video I'm looking at right here is that stabilization.
It's really good.
Yeah, it looks really good.
It's cool, and I have it and I use it, but I don't know where it fits into my workflow as like I used it this weekend in Yosemite. I placed it down by the little lake and did a time lapse, but it's so what I don't like I did the time lapse. What I don't like is the distortion of the wide effect. It's so nuts.
Well, you can crop it in though, right?
Yeah, you can, and that's something I started watching videos on like how to make it look more cinematic.
Sure. Quote unquote.
So I have to kind of play with it and see where it fits into my workflow for weddings. But I know we're going to use it for vlogging. We did vlogging and we kind of just kept the footage like under wrap. You know, it's like all the footage is there. I just don't know what to do with it.
Release a separate YouTube channel.
If people want to see that. Do you guys want to see wedding behind the scenes? Let me know. Capture Color Weddings.
Yeah.
Hit us up.
Enough of your non-Sony talk.
Back to Sony or what?
I guess
someone
took a picture of what's probably the A9 II. It looks.
Okay. Here we go.
It looks like it just has the same body as the A7R4, so nothing special. That'll probably have a crazy sensor. We talked about this last week.
Are they gonna do the new sensor for it or?
Oh, I'm
what
sure.
Are they doing? Yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah.
How long has it been since the last A9? Do you know?
A few years, like 3 years.
Really? It feels like it just happened.
At least 2.
So I thought it came out with the A7 III.
No, I think it was the A9, then A7R3, and then A7 III.
Oh, okay.
I believe that was the timeline. I might have the first two backwards. But yeah. Basically that's almost it.
Is that what it looks like?
Let me see here. Right here.
Is there anything crazy with it?
Nope. Same body as the A7R4. They got rid of the little back dial and they put it up here, which doesn't really do anything for me.
What is that? What dial is that?
It was a little back dial that allowed you to adjust like shutter speed or aperture, but I use my my wheel in the
is
back.
that the one that goes there?
It was like this little side dial right
yeah,
here.
It's the aperture dial.
I never moved it up. I always used the wheel as my aperture anyways, so that didn't.
I used it. That's interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So,
I kind of like that.
That didn't matter for me. I'd rather more custom buttons. I'd rather the flip around or even the flip up screen is cool.
I like the analog buttons. That's dope to me. I like that. If I can feel it.
Fuji style.
Yeah, if I can feel the buttons when I'm not looking at the camera,
well,
that's great.
For me, when my eyes through the viewfinder, I already don't have to look at it. So there's enough for the way I shoot to not have to.
Well, yeah, agreed. But one thing I like about the GH5, it has the ISO button, and I'm bringing it back to Panasonic.
Up on top,
but it has two little dots on it that you can feel.
Oh, yeah.
So you can tell, okay, that's ISO. If I'm shooting through the viewfinder, I can tell, oh, that's ISO. Right next to it's white balance. Right behind it is exposure, something else that I don't use. But that's nice. I like whenever there's an analog like button type of thing. It's
just makes your life easier when shooting.
Panasonic doing it.
We had some new filter holder from Nisi that allowed you to put in 2 square filters and kind of rotate them opposite ways. And I'm not a landscape photographer, and I'll use ND filters for video, but I don't really use these types of filters.
I'm not a landscape photographer, but I always wanted to be. Like,
sure.
Like it's always like it's my favorite type of photography. Like when I shoot photography, landscape is my favorite because you got
to get up so early.
You do, but that's the best part is that you're out in nature.
Right.
You are like the subject's not talking back to you. It's like making noises, the wind and everything, but it's not like having a model or someone in front of you.
You can take your time.
I love just being by myself, that solitude, and just sitting there and just getting the perfect picture. And when you get that perfect light,
sure,
I love it. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. Let's throw that in there. Have I ever used filters? No. Will I? Probably not. But I thought it was dope.
Yeah, if we all had no kids and no spouse and all the time in the world.
Backpacking somewhere, shooting landscape.
Exactly. Yeah. But
One day. They'll let me take that vacation by myself.
I think that's it for the news.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's been kind of a slow week, and maybe we'll have some sweet new news this next week. September.
We'll do update on the Hero 8 announcement.
Yeah, definitely. September's ending. October's going to be here by the time this actually comes out. So hopefully we'll have some new interesting stuff coming out
Is
this fall.
Is the A7S III coming? Say it right now.
No.
When? This year?
No, I'm going to go 2020.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, crap.
I'm going to go like...
Are you serious?
I'm going to go like April of 2020.
No. Why?
I mean, I obviously don't have any information, but... Just because
you just feel
they're just taking their sweet time,
I'm so glad.
Or they're gonna surprise everybody. Never release the A7S III and release a whole different style camera because the A7S was never supposed to be a video camera. It was supposed to be a low light photography camera.
Was it like an astrophotography camera?
Yeah, like 12 or 16 megapixels. I think on the first 2 iterations, and I think
I had the A7S. I had 2 of them.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a photography camera, I believe. And they never, it's just, I think it stood for sensitive, right? Sensitive to light. So you could shoot in really dark.
So what, you think they got caught off guard with how good it was being, like people picked it up and started?
Yeah, I do think that people started using it for its video because it was so good on the first one. And then they sort of made it more video centric on the second one. And then they realized that, this market is real.
So to that, do they have a cinematic like the Panasonic has the GH5 and then the S1H now is marketed as cinema focused camera?
Well,
does Sony have that?
If they do release the A7S III, it will be that. The A7S II was released as that because the A7S was so,
Okay.
I believe was
Is
so.
that that's their only one that was like cinema, but it wasn't even cinema focused. It was just good on low light.
Exactly,
Like,
exactly. But I hope that it will be more cinema focused with like things like setting your shutter angle and not having, you know, adjust the shutter speed, having different codecs in
you
there
think
that
it's
are
gonna do
better.
that? They're gonna have one that.
I hope so. A good brand will always see what's out there in the market, and they know that that camera is going head to head with other video-based small
Okay.
cameras out there.
So what does Sony say about it? Like, is there any talk? Like,
They've said that that camera will exceed your expectations. That's what
of
like
what?
their
Of who's expecting? You know who?
everybody out there, all the reviewers on the internet, and they've openly said in
But-
interviews that it will exceed your
But see,
expectations.
Panasonic, what they say in all their interviews is this is a cinema. We're focusing, on the S1H is a cinema focused camera.
I don't know if Sony
have
is,
they ever said that?
I don't know if Sony has openly said that, but they've said they understand what their users
Because that worries
want.
me if they don't say that. Because that's what we want. That's what everyone wants is a cinema focused Sony.
Well, honestly,
Under 5,000, like under 4.
honestly, I'd pay $5,000 for an A9 type autofocus with the good photos, and 32 megapixels, something like that, 32, 36 megapixels, and then the good video. And I'd pay for it to not
That's
be
not
as
gonna
extreme
happen.
weather sealed.
Yeah.
I paid $6,000 for a camera before. I would pay that money. I definitely would. If it could do both, I would.
Yeah, but-
they may
See,
knock
that's
us
what-
on our butts though, and the A9 II could be this camera.
That's what
and no one's
worries
expecting
me
it.
though, is that the language that they use. That because that's what got me excited about Panasonic was the language that they use is
Yep.
cinema focused. We are taking care of cinematographers. I don't hear that from Sony. At least I haven't been looking for it. But if you're into Sony, are they even talking about that?
I don't think they say that, but they also seem more concerned. So I feel like different brands have different cultures, and they have different things that they care about. So Panasonic has the EVA one, right? It's like their
Varicam,
$7,000, subpar. It's 5.9K, and it seems like Panasonic doesn't care as much about cannibalizing their higher end.
They don't
stuff.
because they know they won't. They won't. Whoever's shooting on the EVA one is not gonna just now I'm gonna go to the S1H and that's my main camera.
But they might use it as a second camera.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that Sony historically doesn't seem like they have done what Panasonic
It doesn't seem
has
like
done.
they think that way.
Well, Canon is like the king of this. They will never release really good stuff in their lower end in order to protect their higher end
Yeah,
stuff.
and that's the thing. Protect. That's what I keep going back to with the Sony is that they're trying to protect those sales.
And that's true.
And that's a whole company-wide way of thinking where Panasonic is like, you know what? Let's just we realize that the people that are going to buy the S1H are not the Varicam user that's like,
Sure.
oh, now I'm going to main shoot with the S1H. No, someone can grow. Someone like me can start shooting weddings. Then go to
Exactly.
commercial and get an EVA 1. And then,
As opposed to the other way around. The person shooting on, a $20,000 Red is not going to come down to the S1H
Yeah, it doesn't make
as
sense.
their main camera. It's not who they are.
it doesn't make sense.
I hope that maybe Sony is taking this time to learn, but people don't understand the camera. If it's going to come out in a few months, it's already done. It's already made. They'll have software tweaks and all that stuff, but it's already done. So whatever people are saying at that time has already been thought about a year ago.
Yeah, I'm worried.
Yeah, I'm
not worried because I'm a Panasonic.
I'm a little worried too, but you know what? If they release a terrible camera and they release an FS5,
Oh, yeah,
a
that's what you're
succession
talking
to
about,
the FS5,
Maybe they never release it, like you said, and they just make us buy an FS6.
but that's a crop sensor camera. It might still be crop sensor, but if I have high frame rates in that camera and like really good codecs and can do really cool color grading with that camera, I'd consider it.
Cinematone is their new thing, right?
And they probably would have it in it. I don't know. Enough.
Maybe they don't put it out and they just want us talking about
exactly.
it all
Enough
the
of
time.
this hot A7S3 talk every week, every day.
Every week till it drops.
But
Sorry, guys.
our last thing we wanted to talk about, it's kind of our main topic today. And man, I have some strong opinions on this one, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone out there. It's kind of twofold. Why mirrorless is the future, and also why, in my opinion, if photographers don't learn video and they are in a professional capacity, like it's what they do for much of their income, for a lot of their income, or all of it, I think they're going to kind of start to die out, or it's going to become harder and harder for them to get business as more and more clients start to ask for video as well. So when I started,
Get 'em, Ross.
when I started out, I did portraits and things like that, and I see that market is just wildly saturated.
Oh yeah.
Everybody, with technology being as inexpensive as it is today,
So
everyone just picks up their Canon body and they get a 5D Mark III or 4 or a 6D, and they got full frame. It's so inexpensive.
You're doing portraits at the orchards.
You're doing portraits,
booking like that.
Exactly, and you're shooting like kid photos and engagements, which is all good.
Yeah,
but it's very, very saturated because
tough to break into.
Yeah, it's easy to break into, but it's tough to build up that clientele.
Yeah,
and so many people are doing that. And even in like local photography forums, people will say things like, my gear isn't doing this. I'm interested in switching systems or looking at other gear, what's out there. And I'll mention like mirrorless, go mirrorless. The EVF is amazing. You never have to chimp down at your camera. You never have to take a picture, look at it, and change the exposure. You know what's happening already. The eye autofocus will change your life. The focus points aren't bunched up in the center of the frame, so you don't have to focus and then recompose. It makes your life easier. And that's when these high-end bodies, that's what they do. They just make shooting easier, and that's what a good camera does. It just makes shooting a lot easier, and you're able to do things that you weren't able to do. But I see so many of these portrait photographers out there who are like, no, never. No, I'll never do it. I'll never leave Canon.
Why is that?
Sony, Panasonic, the Nikon mirrorless systems. Like, no, it's just I don't understand the mentality. It's like, you want to make someone's life easier. Here's what you can do. The people say they want to do something, but then they just don't do it. And I feel like they're
fear.
They're just stuck in their ways.
Yeah, it might be fear, fear of leaving what you know and kind of having to learn a new system.
I don't know. And the thing is, maybe it doesn't work for you.
Yeah,
but at least try.
Yeah,
I never picked up Nikon bodies, but
they're good.
They are probably good.
Yeah, I use the Nikon D800.
I'm not gonna knock them because I didn't do it. I just started with Canon and went to Sony. But I would encourage people out there who are listening, if you are stuck there and you're a portrait photographer and you want something that is going to make your life easier, you don't have to buy the $4,000 DSLR out there. There's the barrier to entry is so low. Go buy an A7 III that has amazing focusing. Go buy the Panasonics, the Nikons,
even some of those smaller Sonys, the ones they just released, $900. Like,
yes, exactly. Even the Canon, the RP or the EOS R, they are, the focusing might not be what the Sony is, and that's why I say for portrait people, look at the Sonys. But
no, you recommend Sony? No,
I know, right? I know, but I would encourage people out there to open your eyes. And my second kind of end of this conversation is, I don't see it as video people who don't learn photo are going to be left behind, but I do see photo people who refuse to learn any type of video. I do see it as eventually they'll be left behind, and I think it's all driven by technology.
They at least have to bring they can, if they don't want to shoot video, they can bring someone on.
Sure.
Bring someone on that does video for your company.
Sure.
Just to be able to add that extra
But imagine how more versatile you would be as a portrait photographer.
Oh yeah.
You shoot, you go out and you want to do this lifestyle like photo shoot with a couple, and you're out there shooting photos, and you're able to offer like a 30-second, a 45-second, like clip
Yeah.
of the photo shoot as well.
Yeah.
Like, how much more
No,
versatile
and
would you be?
That happens with that's like a business like type of decision. You know, it's not
Yes.
like, do you want to switch? You know, it's like it's a business decision. If you don't get with the times, you're gonna get left behind.
Exactly.
And the times now are video. Everything's video. Everyone wants video.
And because technology is driving things and the barrier to entry is coming down, all of these cameras out here now can shoot amazing video. You can't buy a new camera out and have it just shoot terrible video.
Another thing with that is that if you don't jump in now, someone's jumping in and they're
Yes.
learning. That's how I always think about it. If I'm not watching those tutorial videos, if I'm not learning, if I'm not like upgrading what I'm doing, someone else is. So you're going to get left behind just by pure talent and new people that jump into the business.
You know, you rest on your proverbial laurels.
Yeah.
You will be left behind. Look at like sports photographers who shot film back in the day. When digital was coming out and it wasn't that great, they were like, "Oh, I'm just going to stick with film because it's better." But when you get to a point where the technology is there, you had better learn or you're going to become a khaki wearing dinosaur.
Yeah.
And that's no offense to people who wear khakis.
Hey,
but
I sometimes
I wear khakis sometimes as well. But you understand what I mean. You want to be with
the vest. No,
you know what I mean. You know what I mean. It's just that's my mentality of the old school mindset. There's people who, and I frequent some forums. People are like, never video, never, and they still say it. It's like, dude, I get it. But you just like doing this as a hobby. But if you're a professional, your client's going to come out there and say, I need a social media like 30-second little teaser.
Every business that doesn't even do video, whatever they're doing, they adapt. And if they don't, they lose, you know?
Yeah.
And their mentality, you know, most businesses is like, how do we, you know, keep going? How do we make things cheaper, make things better, get faster, you know? And that's, if you're in the photography business, it's either, you know, let's start learning video or do some, you know.
You have to continue moving forward. Like I think in the gym, if we have a good month, I never sit back and I'm like, well, we're here now.
Yeah.
Like that would be stupid of me to do that. I'm always thinking, what else can we improve? In what way can we continue this momentum? How can we continue to get better? And I'm constantly second guessing myself. Like I made that decision. Was it the right way to do it? Yes, it worked. But was it the right way? With photography and video, like, okay, I shot this photo session and the couple paid me $250. And that's not enough to live on all the time. How can I make myself more valuable?
So you're not talking about like the main successful photographers that shoot and everything, right?
No, you're getting paid $10,000 for a wedding to shoot photos. You're good.
You're talking about those local photographers.
Exactly.
Right?
I'm talking about people who are amateurs, hobbyists, enthusiasts, and even like semi-pros, and even maybe a few professionals out there who are smart enough to see whatever it is that they're shooting dying out.
Yeah.
And so that's where my thoughts kind of lie on that subject. It's just, I would encourage you, if you're listening, to never stop learning. I mean, we have YouTube University out there. You can learn.
I graduated from there.
Dude, me too.
I'm going back.
I go back every single day. You get stuck in that review rabbit hole. You get stuck in that learning rabbit hole. There are such good resources and channels out there on YouTube. No, I mean, there are 1,000 ones that are better than mine, probably more than 1,000. And I learn from those. I mean, I learned from, you know, F-Stoppers and SLR Lounge, and I learned from so many people.
Anyone that's buying something goes automatically to YouTube.
For sure.
You know, I want to learn how to do something, YouTube. Everything is video based.
Yes.
I'm going to buy some, like I was telling you, I want to buy that S1H.
Yeah.
And I told you, dude, I'm stuck watching reviews.
But those people who need a good photo camera, go to YouTube. How ironic is it that I need a good camera and I refuse to shoot video, but yet I go watch a video well, someone produced that video and had to learn it, right?
Yeah.
And those people that are telling you this camera is amazing for photos had to learn video to tell you that.
Yeah.
So take that into consideration.
Talk to them.
Exactly. And yeah, it kind of pisses me off a little bit, but not because it does anything to me, but it's just because I want people out there to just be able to be better and offer their services. And you want to get paid more? Like, if you're an employee and you want to get paid more. Do your job better, make yourself more valuable.
Yep.
If you're creative and you want to get paid more, market yourself better. Do your job better. Make yourself more valuable. Make your stuff look better.
You have to create more value to the customer. You have to have something on that sheet that creates more value.
Sure. And you can even do less work if your work is better and get paid more.
Yep.
So maybe we'll talk about that in another day. Pricing, that's a huge topic, right?
Yeah,
How to price yourself.
I've been learning a lot lately.
Sure.
It's been great.
So maybe we'll tease that for another podcast, but I would encourage you, keep learning, keep shooting, keep learning, and just keep getting better at whatever it is that you're doing in the creative industries.
Yeah, there's always someone better coming for you. Not specifically you, but they're learning. The younger people, whoever, even older people, everyone's learning, and you can't stop, because if you do, you'll get left behind. So I'm always looking over my shoulder. Okay, where are we at? How can I never try to stop, because I know they're coming.
Oh, absolutely. And that's a good mentality to have. And that's a healthy mentality to have. Just never rest and say like you're done right where you are, because
the more I learn, the more I find out, damn, I don't know that much about lighting.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
I feel like I know less now than I knew at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I think about that all the time. Like, remember when I didn't even know what this was, and now it's so important?
You're kind of like...
I'm worried about what I don't know now.
Yeah, when you don't know about... Like, when I didn't know that much about lighting, I'm like, I need to learn a little bit. And then I, get into it, then I'm like, whoa, that's a big spot that I need to look into,
To a certain point, though, you have to not worry and just go out and shoot. But, I've been in those situations before where I feel handicapped by... I just want this light to be absolutely perfect. Or I want... No, okay, it's good enough. Yeah, it's good enough. It's like 80% of the way there. You can also get
stuck in those thoughts of like,
exactly. Is anyone going to notice? And I think that just comes with experience and preparation.
Yeah, learning as you go. I've been learning as I go, and it's every time, we talked about last time. You look at your old work, you're like, oh, I've learned so much.
Oh, for sure. Well, I think that's pretty much it for the podcast today. This is a weekly podcast. We record every week on Monday and hopefully have it out by Wednesday. Stuff happens. We're real people
figuring
too.
It out.
We're figuring it out as we go.
You have a business to figure out.
Exactly. Well, you have a business, and where can we find you, man, on social media?
You can find me at Capture Color, COLOUR. For any gear photos, I post, just a bunch of gear stuff on there. But for my wedding film work, you can go to Capture Color Weddings, and you can check out that Yosemite teaser I was talking about. Should be out by the time this comes out.
Sweet, man. And you can find me here on the Brotographer's YouTube channel. Just look up the Brotographer on YouTube and _Brotographer on Instagram as well. Make sure you subscribe, hit that little notification bell to get notified when any new videos or video podcasts like this are released. If you're listening to this, make sure you give us a 5-star rating. Hopefully 5 stars. Hopefully we're not terrible. And shoot us a little review there as well if you could. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iTunes. I think that's the same thing. And iHeartRadio is a new one. So thank you guys for listening and watching. And I guess we'll see you guys in the next one.
Until next week.
Peace.